Alright, I'm so sorry for teasing you with part 1 and then going on an impromptu vacation for 3 days, but I am back now, and now we have the Serpent Side of this face-off series, and then after this it is the full face-off between Thanos and the Serpent. But now Serpent has his own video and his own things to talk about, so let's get right into it, man. The Serpent is a champion that I have to try my best to be completely unbiased about, but it's going to be tough because this champion has really hurt me in many ways, especially on the defensive side of things, because oh my gosh, this champion had a reign of terror for a very long time, but more on that later. Right now I want to talk about his offensive uses, and my gosh, this man has a ton of them, dude. So let's talk about one thing first, which is already an immediate advantage over Thanos, and it is the fact that Serpent right there has 3 charges that have a lot of benefit, especially if he is awakened. So what they do is they increase the potency of his Fury buff, but also when he's about to get knocked out, he gets this immortality that is absolutely supercharged. It comes with regen, he cannot die during it, and he also gets a massive power gain. So as the fights go on, like in the quest, as he does multiple fights, he just gets stronger and stronger, as with Deathless Thanos. However, Deathless Thanos has one disadvantage: you can't do multiple fights with Thanos. You have to do one fight with Thanos, use someone else, and then go back to Thanos to get the maximum benefit. But with Serpent, he wants to do all the fights, because doing all those fights makes him stronger, it maxes out his charges, and once his charges are maxed out, this character is absolutely cracked. So yeah, that's one thing to know about Serpent. He does have that multi-fight advantage, and he also can do matchups that Thanos can't do, because we are currently taking a Sentinel fight. Sentinel isn't Thanos' best matchup. Is it a doable one? Yes, but Serpent does actually get a pretty nice benefit against Sentinel, but Sentinel also kind of counters Serpent, so they kind of just like, I don't know, they both counter each other in a way, but Serpent is definitely the winner throughout all these matchups, you know, of Sentinel versus Serpent. He's the one that has like more advantages over the other, because with Sentinel he gains armor over time with his analysis charges, and Serpent loves that, and he does a lot of damage because of it. And like right there, just completely crushed that Sentinel fight. It was 2 minutes. That is one thing to note with the Serpent, is he will do the fights really well. He will do them very safely because he's a very safe champion, which I will talk about in... Actually, I'll talk about it right now. This character is very safe to play, right? He has a lot of defensive stats that translates very well into an attacking Serpent, which by that I mean like he has critical penetration reduction, where the crits that you take whole lot less damage than other champions, you know. He's very good at like minimizing crit damage that is inflicted onto him. He also does have 95% bleed, and I think it's just bleed actually. He has a 95% duration reduction to bleed debuffs, so against instant bleeds he's not the strongest. However, there is one thing to note: he does have minus 20% instant damaging effect damage reduction. So once you are maxed out on your charges, because that does scale with his amount of persistent charges, he will have minus 60% damage to any instant damaging effect like Bullseye's bleed. So for that reason, he is a very good Bullseye counter, because he also has True Focus. Now, True Focus is one of his strongest things. In my opinion, I think it is the strongest thing, because unlike Deathless Thanos and his way of countering miss and evade, the Serpent has a permanent True Focus so long as you cannot get hit. If you are good at just like not getting hit, you're good at dexterity, you're good at just not like messing up frequently, you will have a permanent True Focus at your disposal, and that is one of the best abilities in the game. Countering miss and evade at the same time permanently is absolutely broken, and that's why he is so good for this Bullseye matchup right here, since Bullseye can just never evade, since Serpent just doesn't allow it. For that reason, Serpent is kind of cracked, right? He is a very good attacker, he has great utility, and he also is like, he's also just really good at mitigating the damage that would be dealt to him, and for that reason, he is really safe to use, and he also can just do a ton of work in the most important quest, such as the Epoch of Pain. So let's talk about it. Let's see some gameplay of Serpent versus the honestly most important like piece of content released as of recent memory, I think, because yeah, this offers a rank 4 if I'm not mistaken, and that's massive, right? And the Serpent was, for a lot of players, the MVP for the Cosmic Lane, for this Cosmic Lane. And you wanna know why? It's because of True Focus. Now, this Cassie Lang, for many people, was the toughest matchup in this entire thing, because, oh my god, Evade is very annoying. Miss is super annoying. Those things combined coming at you like in a rotation, insanely annoying, dude. But the Serpent has his True Focus, which is the strongest ability for this matchup because it just counters both outright. And unlike Deathless Thanos, the Serpent's form of countering Evade and Miss is via a buff. And for this Cassie fight specifically, Deathless Thanos really struggles because his Panic is a debuff, and there is the like Beast of Burden node, which pretty much makes debuffs irrelevant, right? However, the Serpent, he don't have debuffs, so he is very good for this matchup. I think he is the best counter for it by far, and yeah, this is also a fight where the Serpent really shines because this is a 1.5 million health fight or something, and the Serpent, as the health pools get higher, he gets crazier. And for that reason, I will be honest, I purposely didn't include like Battlegrounds like simulations in this video because I don't really know if he is like really suited for Battlegrounds attack. I saw some gameplay of the Serpent in that Barrow versus Andy tournament match, and the Serpent just really didn't do all too great. Even in his best matchup that you would think would be like a 30-second fight, it was more than 30 seconds, I'll just put it like that. So I don't think that the Serpent is like this crazy good, can compete with the top Cosmics level of Battlegrounds attacker, but he will get the job done. I just feel like his value is definitely within these longer fights where he does get to build up his Furies and his Dread, and like he just churns out like 50,000 plus crits and those insane damage numbers on the SP2. This is the Serpent that I feel like is worth showcasing, rather than just like trying to force my way through Battlegrounds fights with him, when of course he has more value on the defensive side of Battlegrounds, which is a whole different thing that I will talk about. I guess I'll talk about right now because this matchup is actually over. So right there, never evaded, never like missed. So yeah, that is insane. The True Focus is like the most powerful thing for that fight, and that was proof right there. So now we have this Gwenpool, just a very like good showcase of his general like damage output and like his general ease of use and utility, because yeah, like most people can do this fight with anyone, right? But the Serpent just brings a level of safety that feels nearly unmatched at times, because let's say I get hit here, what happens? I will like probably get a bleed on me, minus 95% duration, doesn't really matter. I'll get hit, he has critical penetration reduction, and he also has crit res, so it won't hurt that much. Plus I have the resist up, which mitigates damage even further, and if we're to get like really bad, I take a ton of hits, I have his immortality, which is one of the strongest things in this game. Yeah, Immortality has a pretty strong track record. If you don't know, Google Hercules and you will be amazed at what Immortality can do for some champions. Like right there, I took a heavy attack, hardly did anything, man, because yeah, he's just that tanky. But I do want to talk about something, and it's going back to the Battlegrounds discussion. This man on defense had a reign of terror that was, man, it literally ruined some Battleground seasons for me personally, and for others, I know for sure. Like, the amount of bad words that were said about the Serpent when there were hardly any counters out there, I couldn't count them on, like, a man with 50 fingers, because oh my god, it was a ton, dude. It was a ton. So yeah, the Serpent on Battlegrounds defense, to put it like, let's put it through like I guess like a game design point of view. There are some defenders made to stall out time, right? You know, you have Deathless Thanos, right? He's not trying to KO you, he's trying to just stall the clock, and he does a very good job because he has protection, he has the unstoppable that you have to wait out. Then there's champions that are just trying to, you know, absolutely clock you, bro. Like Bullseye just does a ton of block damage, has a ton of bleed, he will mess you up, and he's not trying to stall, he's just trying to absolutely destroy you, right? Then you have the Serpent. I think the Serpent was a mix of the worst of those things, where he is trying to absolutely KO you, right? He has Pierce, he has unavoidable special attacks, he will absolutely destroy your block, right? And eventually, any champion that isn't a hard counter will just give up and they will get KO'd to that block damage. But he also has a lot of top traits that other stall characters have. He has resistances, he has critical penetration reduction, he also has a resist up, he also has immortality, he also has absurdly high base stats. This man is very hard to knock out. So when you take the worst of both worlds, you have a very unfair defender that without the right counter, without, you know, a multitude of counters, he will cause destruction and terror and everything in a Battleground season. So for that reason, I do not like this champion. I think this champion, he wasn't rebalanced for a reason. It was so they could sell more counters. This is a company, they want to make money, and that's how you make money. You just put out absolute BS and then just wait a bit. Put a price tag on the solution, and there you go. You make money. You can, you know, keep the lights on. It makes sense. It is smart. By the way, let's talk about this for a second before I go back to my rant. I guess it's a rant. So the Serpent has a way of dealing with armor, but it is one of the weirdest ways possible. His special attack 2 does increase damage based on the opponent's armor rating. So he doesn't have access to armor break or shatter or just anything that can remove armor such as pulverize. He just does extra damage because of them. That is good, but also can be bad if you really need to get rid of the armor up because the defender gains various effects if the armor is active. He can't do those fights because he has no way of getting rid of them, he just has a way of doing extra damage because of them. And for that reason, I think that Thanos is definitely the better character when it comes to armor control, since he has a billion ways of dealing with it. He has break, shatter, and pulverize. So yeah, Serpent really just for he's really just for giggles, man. He just does really goofy damage versus armor up, and it's really fun to see. But besides that, not the most useful champion versus armor effects, unless you unless it is an armor that has no threat and you just want to get out of the fight immediately, then he'll be pretty good for it, right? Now we have this Stark Spidey, and this is on Safeguard, a fight that he has a massive advantage because he has access to red burst damage, and that is very helpful for Safeguard type of nodes. If there was ever a Safeguard, let's say Red Skull. If there was a Safeguard Red Skull, I would probably pick Serpent over Thanos, because Thanos, he can get rid of the armor ups for sure, but you really want to have your physical damage right there and your on hit damage for Thanos, because he has some crazy mediums and heavy attacks. But Serpent is mainly DOT. He is mainly that extra burst damage that is red, and that is very helpful for these type of scenarios. So yeah, I would give a point to Serpent here for sure. But like I was saying, the Serpent, so he is the poster boy of selling a counter, right? Because what this man did to Battlegrounds for a lot of seasons, it was, in my opinion, unacceptable. It did ruin the game mode for a bit, for me at least, because we just had no counters. And some of the node combos that the Serpent had was absolutely unreal. There was a meta where it was a buff duration node, and the Serpent with his immortality is already just really stupid, right? But when you give that 100% duration, and throughout that entire time he is gaining power and like regenerating health, and like you cannot knock him out. That's really dumb, obviously. Like, that is like, it was the worst thing ever. If you got him in your draft, you won 1 round at least. Like, it was that crazy. And yeah, I just cannot believe that they like allowed that for so long, but like I get why they were just holding off so they could sell counters like a couple months later, which it worked, right? We have Spiral, we have Shothra, we have probably more coming soon, depending on like if the next Dark Phoenix counters can actually counter Serpent as well. We'll have to see, but yeah, he was an absolute pain to deal with on Battlegrounds defense for a very long time, and he still is like one of the most influential defenders in this game. You can still like win a ton of matchups with him, obviously, because it's the Serpent. If you don't have a direct counter to him, you are not winning your round. Like, that's fact of the matter. But yeah, now we have this Corg fight to end things off, and this is just like a absolutely crazy matchup, dude. This is Mixmaster Corg. It's a tough fight. It's not easy by any means, because there is Thorns damage, there is the evade, there is Flux Dispersal, which is the worst node to ever exist in this game, in my opinion, because I think it's fixed now, because like I was doing this fight, and usually at 20 charges you can still do damage over time, but Serpent's like SP1 was doing 0 damage, and that includes his little debuffs as well, or like his direct G.O.A.T. So yeah, I think they like buffed, what is it called? I just said it, Flux Dispersal, which is crazy because it's already like one of the hardest nodes in the game. It is so stupid, but yeah, now it's even harder, so that's amazing. And this was like a fight of pure endurance, because this Corg has a ton of health. He like has that damage cap as well. He's really annoying with this level of health, but Serpent does have some tricks up his sleeve for this matchup. The biggest thing is he has access to True Focus, which if nothing else, he at least counters the evade, which makes this like one of the most, if not the most difficult ordeal fight out there. So that's the big thing. Additionally, he does have his 60% reduction to any instant damaging effect, which does include the Thorns damage that Corg inflicts onto you if you hit him with a medium or like a heavy or a special attack. So he does have that as well, and I think that's really it for like countering this fight. He just has that damage reduction. He has access to the True Focus, which I lost right there, so that's annoying. But that could be something to note as well, because like as you saw, I got hit, right? Because this fight is just so complex. There's a lot of things coming at you, and that includes Corg himself, who is just like hyper aggressive right now for some reason. And so like you might get hit, and if you get hit, you lose your direct counter to evade and miss, which is not fun. It's just like Heimdall in a sense, where like he has that really overpowered True Strike. Unless you get hit, then you're kind of just cooked. But yeah, like right here, we're gonna start doing some like pretty nice burst damage on every single attack that's on the wall. But then again, once we're at 20 charges, we just do 0 damage. And I'm pretty sure it used to not be that way. I swear you could do G.O.A.T damage or like instant red damage against Flux Dispersal, but maybe I'm going crazy, maybe I'm getting old, and my memory's messing me up. I don't think it's that. I'm gonna be for real. I don't think it's that. I think that they're wrong and I'm right. But yeah, this matchup is going well. I mean, like, as well as Gauntlet Corg, or not Gauntlet, as well as Ordeal Corg can go without like the most perfect counter, because you know Onslaught can do this fight like very fast and very efficiently, but there is always a need for like other counters, especially when you're team building for a 20 fight quest with only 5 champions. The Serpent can do a lot of fights in the Ordeal, so it's important to see like what he can force his way through, because he's just like Deathless Thanos in that sense. They both are incredibly powerful at like forcing their way through matchups. Like for example, this Corg fight doesn't seem like it's a Serpent fight obviously, but he's just so good, especially in these long fights, to the point where he can just brute force his way into doing this matchup, and it's working so far. We have a good chunk of health left, but even if we did get hit and we lost a lot of health, there is one thing to remember about the Serpent, and it is a thing that I usually forget on attack, but I always remember it on defense, and you're about to see what I'm talking about. But yeah, there I get hit, and I am getting absolutely folded now. Now he's doing a lot of damage to me, so that's pretty scary. But we're also doing 32,000 on crits. We are hitting insanely hard now, but so is that block damage, dude. That block damage is quite terrifying. And there I get hit again, but now we're immortal. So yeah, there you go. If you ever mess up, you have that trick up your sleeve. I dropped the SP2 because the power gain is just absolutely absurd. And there we go. I survive, and the immortality just came in absolute clutch. Was that a long fight? Absolutely. That was so long. But if there's anyone that could like survive for that long against someone as threatening as Ordeal Corg, it is the Serpent. He's one of those characters. He is so hard to die with, and if you would die with him, there is that immortality anyway. So it's like, dude, when it comes to safety and practicality, very few champions can match the level of the Serpent. So let me know your thoughts on Serpent. And next up is the face-off between him and Deathless Thanos. And yeah, that's about it for me.